Everyone who plays hockey dreams of one day entering the record books, but sometimes our dreams turn into nightmares. We'll be looking at players and teams in the NHL record books for all the wrong reasons. Here are the most infamous records in NHL history. Ron Hextall, most penalty minutes by a goalie. Ron Hextall is remembered by many for his aggressive play in the crease, which includes being involved in some of the most memorable dust-ups and epic brawls in league history. In 608 games over 13 seasons, Hextall picked up 569 penalty minutes and finished in triple digits in 2 of those seasons. He also has the NHL record for the most penalty minutes in a single season by a goalie with 113. Ottawa Senators' least road wins in a season. Unlike the recently successful expansion Vegas Golden Knights, the expansion Ottawa Senators set records in the 1992-93 season for all the wrong reasons. The Senators had the longest home losing streak at 11 games, the longest road losing streak at 38 games, and worst of all, 1 road win all season. Senators won only 9 home games, giving them a total of 10 wins and making them one of the worst teams to ever be assembled in NHL history. But wait, it gets worse. Washington Capitals' lowest team point total in NHL history. The Washington Capitals said, "Hold my beer." In their inaugural 1974-75 season, the Caps set the record for the fewest points earned in an NHL season with 21. They managed to only pick up 8 wins and an astonishing 67 losses along the way. To put this into perspective, the next worst team, the Detroit Red Wings, were 37 points ahead of them in the standings. This Capitals team has the unfortunate distinction of being the worst team in NHL history. Bill Mickelson, worst plus-minus in a single season. Too bad we're talking about Bill Mickelson and not Phil Mickelson. Otherwise, minus 82 would be a good thing. Unfortunately, Bill was a hockey player and not a golfer. Bill Mickelson was part of that infamous 1974-75 Washington Capitals team, and his stats show it. As alluded to, he finished with a plus-minus rating of minus 82. Making matters worse, he only played in 59 out of a possible 80 games, meaning he might have been shooting for the century mark had he played in those additional 21 games. Ken Daneyko, most consecutive goalless games. Ken Daneyko is a legend among New Jersey Devils fans. He even earned the nickname Mr. Devil because of his record 1,283 games played with the franchise. However, his career was far from perfect. He was a stay-at-home defenseman. But even so, he won a record 255 games without scoring a goal. He didn't find the back of the net from February 1999 to October 2002. Derek Bogard would come close to this record, going 234 games before finally scoring during the 2010-11 season. Ty Domi, most career fighting majors. This may be one of the more admirable honors on this list. Ty Domi is an all-time great enforcer. He knew his role and executed it to perfection. Domi had a record 333 career fighting majors in his NHL career, including featuring in some of the best bouts of all time. On his way to punching out the opposition, he tallied 3,515 career penalty minutes, placing him 3rd all-time behind Dale Hunter and career leader Tiger Williams, who tallied 3,971 career penalty minutes. Kings, Blues, and Canucks, most goalies used in a single season. This next one is a 3-way tie. The 2007-08 LA Kings, the 2002-03 St. Louis Blues, and the 1989-90 Quebec Nordiques all had to use 7 different goalies to get through their respective seasons. As you can imagine, having that much turnover in the net doesn't typically yield good results. Only the Blues qualified for the playoffs. The Nordiques, on the other hand, only managed to win a meager 12 games. Can you name the 21 goalies these teams collectively used? If so, answer in the comments. Carolina Hurricanes' most shorthanded goals given up on a single power play. During a game on April 10, 2010, played between the Carolina Hurricanes and the Boston Bruins, history was made. Depending on which team you were on dictated what side of history you were a part of. That's because the Boston Bruins scored a record 3 shorthanded goals during a single penalty kill. This means the inverse is also true. Carolina Hurricanes gave up a record 3 shorthanded goals during the same power play. Daniel Paillet, Blake Wheeler, and Steve Bejan were the 3 goal scorers. Interestingly, the penalty carried over from the first to the second period. Matt Hunwick was given a 2-minute hooking penalty at 1942. The Blues scored all 3 of their goals in the second period, meaning they didn't even need the full 2 minutes of the penalty to achieve this record. Winnipeg Jets' longest winless streak. The Winnipeg Jets actually started as a member of the World Hockey Association. However, the league collapsed in 1979 and the Jets were one of 4 WHA teams to join the NHL, along with the Quebec Nordiques, Hartford Whalers, and Edmonton Oilers. During the 1980-81 season, their second in the NHL, the Jets seemed to have difficulty adjusting. The Jets went through a record 30-game winless streak. They finished last in the Smythe division with 32 points, 25 points behind the next closest team, and had a goal differential of -154. Playoff and Stanley Cup droughts. When it comes to the Stanley Cup playoffs, there are several dishonorable accolades to hand out. Let's start with just getting in. The longest playoff drought as a tie of 11 seasons between the Florida Panthers and Buffalo Sabres. Unfortunately for the Sabres, their drought is active, so if they don't get in this year, they'll become the sole record holder. And if the Panthers lose this record, no worries. They also own the record for the longest drought between Stanley Cup playoff series wins. For 25 years, spanning 1997 to 2022, Panthers didn't win a single series, till they knocked off the Washington Capitals in the first round last season. Toronto Maple Leafs hold the record for the longest Stanley Cup drought at 55 years. They haven't won at all since 1967, when there were only the original 6 teams. Following year, the league expanded to 12 teams. And the active record for never winning the Stanley Cup is a distinction shared between the Buffalo Sabres and Vancouver Canucks. Since both entered the league in 1970, neither has won the Stanley Cup in their 52-year existence. What do you think about these records? Is there an infamous record that sticks out in your mind?